trade is given on our supply and use reports, accounting, and we're going to show those implications now. We're going to do that with two countries, country A and country B, just two countries to keep things simple here. Again, for both countries, we have our supply and use, and again, if we used WASD, we could get supply and use for two countries, and let's just assume that those two countries are what exists in the world. If we look at imports and exports, imports from country A, and we had two countries, the imports from country A would come from country B. So those two would equal, right? Imports would be all from exports from country B, and vice versa. Our exports from country A would be all the imports that go into country B. So this is just there is an accounting identity here. We can't necessarily tell on one report what country it went to, but if we had just two, we would know. All right, if we don't have just one country, one thing that we do know, and this is an identity, total imports across country will equal total exports across countries. If you sum up imports across all countries, it will have to equal total exports across the country. Just has to be. It's an accounting identity. Now, as we talk about things, if we had free trade, which in theory exists but really doesn't to one degree, there's no such thing as total free trade, maybe except in the EU. There will be trade barriers, and those trade barriers could be any one of a number of things. They could be tariffs, they could be taxes of various varieties, and we'll talk about those. And they could be phytosanitary requirements, which are a big one in agriculture. Again, those things impact those trade flows across country. Again, as we add more countries, we can't necessarily say where those imports, if we just look at a supply and use statement from one country, we can't necessarily say where that's going, but we do have a fairly good idea, and actually there are other databases where you can get that information. General dynamics, corn and soybeans. North and South America are producers. U.S., Brazil, Argentina, to a lesser extent Canada are the producers. China and others are the users. That above statement oversimplifies the dynamics, but it'll give you a feel, at least for corn and soybeans, U.S. and South America, what is the major dynamic that is occurring now.